What's up, kings? What's up, queens? For today's video, I want to talk about the Kaizen methodology. It's basically the principle of small incremental steps that eventually yield enormous results in one's life. I've often talked about chasing success with regards to accessing the superconscious mind, using more of your hunches, taking actions that are inspired, using the law of attraction, cultivating life force energy. All these things imply a level of quantum leap. And I'm definitely guilty of wanting to go after big things really fast. But this principle might actually be the most potent and important principle behind success, and maybe once I started applying this principle in my life, which is a little less than a year ago, I have noticed enormous results. It's just that I had to wait a year just to see some semblance of them. And the idea is this: if you continually are consistent with a set of ideas, set of principles, a philosophy of thinking that guides you towards your intentions, and you stick with those small actions every day, not being negligent of the small, tiny actions that you have to take, these will eventually lead to enormous results. I first started applying this principle with my career. I had left my job as a chemistry teacher, but I had no skills by which I could go into an industry that could help me with regards to my acting career, or a career that I could work tangentially while I chased this other thing that was far more unrealistic, or at least would require the application of so much more time and is something that would need to be nurtured. I needed a skill, I needed a career that could sustain me for the long haul as an artist. And so I just one day Googled like jobs you can work from home. I stumbled into digital marketing, I took a course on it, and I committed to only learning it for 30 minutes to 4 hours a day, oftentimes only being a couple hours a day, for about 3 months. And then that landed me an internship, which ended up landing me like a corporate job, which allowed me to, within a year, become a digital marketing manager, and gives me access to work from home, work remotely, and work flexibly. I can, as long as I get my projects done, I can sort of work around my personal agenda, my personal calendar. And what led to that result within a year? It was just the application of effort towards learning a high income skill for some portion of my time every single day. And now that's just one facet. This concept of the Kaizen methodology is immensely powerful with whatever you're trying to kind of cultivate and achieve in your life, whether it is with regards to your health, your relationships, or building a business. So for today's video, I'm going to read some of the best passages that I gathered from The Kaizen Way and another book, The Slight Edge. Even if you are a highly disciplined and successful person, I'll bet you can remember many times that you have tried innovation and failed. Radical change is like charging up a steep hill. You may run out of wind before you reach the crest, or the thought of all the work ahead of you makes you give up sooner than you've begun. There is an alternative to innovation. It is another path altogether that one winds so gently up the hill that you hardly notice the climb. It is pleasant to negotiate and soft to tread, and all it requires is that you place one foot in front of the other. Despite the foreign name, Kaizen, small steps for continual improvement, was first applied systematically in Depression-era America, when France fell to Nazi Germany in 1940. American leaders realized how urgently the Allies needed shipments of military equipment. They also were forced to acknowledge that American soldiers might soon be sent abroad as well, requiring their own tanks, weapons, and supplies. American manufacturers would need to step up the quality and quantity of their equipment production, and quickly. This challenge was intensified by the loss of many qualified factory supervisors to the American armed forces, which were busy making their preparations for war. To overcome these tight time and personnel constraints, the US government created management courses called Training Within Industries, TWI, and offered them to corporations throughout America. One of these courses held the seeds of what would in another time and place be known as Kaizen. Managers were essentially asked to look for hundreds of small things that they could improve in the process of that factory output. Just tiny changes, because there wasn't enough time for innovation, and this led to enormous results. At first, this philosophy must have seemed shockingly inadequate under the circumstances, but somehow these little steps added up to a brilliant acceleration of America's manufacturing capacity. The quality of America's equipment and the speed of its production were two of the major factors in the Allied victory. The author of the Kaizen Way essentially asks that you ask yourself small questions towards whatever endeavor you're trying to accomplish. Ask yourself small questions that would not intimidate you, that wouldn't cause your amygdala to fire a response and send you into that fight or flight response, but rather say, hey, if I'm trying to accomplish this goal, let's say you want to make a salary of $100,000 per year. In America, that puts you in about the top 9% or so of wage earners. And currently you work at Subway or something equivalent, and you make about $10 an hour doing that. The prospect of making $100,000 a year may seem completely ludicrous and intimidating, especially if you have no other skills to leverage. But you simply committed to the process of studying 30 minutes to an hour every day of a high income skill. Now 30 minutes to an hour every day might put you at 200 hours of deep study over the course of a year. That might be enough to get you a small, mediocre portfolio and some amount of skill in whatever industry you decide to learn. 200 hours of deep study and a mediocre portfolio is enough to get you an internship. But in the second year, you continue to apply Kaizen. You continue to apply the idea of incremental improvement. Now you're at 400 hours of deep study. That's enough for your portfolio to look a little stronger. You continue to apply Kaizen. Let's say you continue to apply that prospect for the next year and the next year and the next year, and you continue to develop your skills. Well, there's a compounding effect that happens with regards to that. According to Brian Tracy, who says that if you got even 0.1% better every single day in terms of the skills you know or your effectiveness in your output, within 10 years, you are almost guaranteed to 10x your salary. And that's very much true. Now, I'm only in my first year of applying this process, and I can promise you, it very much is true. A year ago, as I started studying a high-income skill for the first time, I could never have imagined that it would lead me to a career that can sustain me and that I find somewhat interesting as well. Whatever goal you're trying to accomplish, ask yourself, what small process could I apply for the next 3 years or so to leverage me in getting that result? You could be in the top 10% of salary earners in your country just by applying this process. These next passages are from the book, The Slight Edge. It's the philosophy. That's the secret ingredient. Your philosophy is what you know, how you hold it, and how it affects what you do. The truth is, what you do matters. What you do today matters. What you do every day matters. Successful people just do the things that seem to make no difference in the act of doing them, and they do them over and over and over until the compound effect kicks in. Position your daily actions so that time is working for instead of against you, because time will either promote you or expose you. Knowing the secret of time, you say, if I stay on this road long enough, I'll get the result I seek. If you want to understand and apply the slight edge to create the life of your dreams, you can't make your choices based on the evidence of your eyes. You need to make them based on what you know, on your philosophy. Some people have asked me how I plan on becoming a successful actor as a brown man in America, or how they themselves could leverage their strengths to get more work as an artist. And my answer to that would be this process. You do the small work that's available to you, and you just increase your process every day, and you just close your eyes for the next several years. You just work the system and trust that you'll get to wherever you're supposed to be. A phrase that I've always really loved from Ralph Waldo Emerson is this: do the thing and you shall have the power. And it might not show up right away, the fact that you're operating with the right protocol, the right systems, the right philosophy. It might not show up right away. It might not show up for a couple years. But you sort of have to trust in these laws of the universe. The fact that if you do certain disciplines and you enact them for long enough, interesting things start to happen. That's it for today's video, guys. I'd love to know in the comments below, what habits, what disciplines would you leverage as part of your Kaizen philosophy, as part of the compound effect towards whatever pursuit that you're going towards? For me, my process is simply this: to wake up early, work out and meditate, and then to work deeply, to learn skills every day for at least some portion of my day. And that's what I'm applying to start moving towards what I want. I'd love to hear about your own disciplines and your ideas regarding this. But that's it for today's video. And for those of us who are willing to embody some of these disciplines and to stay with the process and have a bit of patience about it, to us I say, greatness is coming. Cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next one.